Hi everyone. So today we are going to talk about our next topic of digestive system, which is digestion, absorption and metabolism of the carbohydrate. So again it is important if I'm talking about the exams point of view. This question is a frequently asked question that describe the digestion of carbohydrate or maybe describe the digestion, absorption and metabolism of the carbohydrate in 10 marks question. So let's start. Carbohydrates in diet. Human diet contains three types of carbohydrates. One is the polysaccharides. Large polysaccharides are glycogen, amylose, amylopectin, which are in the form of starch. Glycogen is available in non-vegetarian diet. Amylose and amylopectin are available in vegetarian diet because of their plant origin. The second is the disaccharides. Two types of disaccharides are available in the diet. First is a sucrose. Sucrose is a glucose plus fructose, which is called table sugar or cane sugar. Second is the lactose, which is the glucose and galactose, which is a sugar available in the milk. Then there is a monosaccharides. Monosaccharides consumed in human diet are mostly glucose and fructose. Other carbohydrates in the diet include the alcohol, lactic acid, pyruvic acid, pectins, dextrins, carbohydrates in meat. Diet also contains large amount of cellulose which cannot be digested in the human GI tract, so it is not considered as a food for human beings. Now we'll talk about the digestion of the carbohydrates in the mouth first. Enzymes involved in the digestion of carbohydrates are known as the amylolytic enzymes. The only amylolytic enzyme present in saliva is the salivary amylase or ptyalin. And I guess I have talked about this in previous lecture also when we were talking about the digestion in the mouth. Then there is a digestion of carbohydrates in the stomach. Gastric juice contains a weak amylase which plays a minor role in digestion of carbohydrates. And I'm talking about the digestion of carbohydrates. Then in the intestine, amylolytic enzymes present in the small intestines are derived from pancreatic juice and succus entericus. Amylolytic enzyme in pancreatic juice contains pancreatic amylase. Amylolytic enzymes in succus entericus, so in that amylolytic enzymes present in succus entericus are maltase, sucrase, lactase, dextrinase and trehalase. Final products of the carbohydrate digestion. Final products of carbohydrate digestion are monosaccharides, which are glucose, fructose and galactose. Glucose represents 80% of the final product of the carbohydrate digestion. Galactose and fructose represent remaining 20%. So in this table, we can again see the digestion of carbohydrate. If I'm talking about the area, then the digestion of carbohydrate in mouth derived with the juice of with the help of saliva, and the enzymes would be salivary amylase, substrates would be polysaccharides, which is the cooked starch, and the end product would be the disaccharides, which is dextrin and maltose. If I'm going to talk about the stomach, then juice which helps in that would be the gastric juice, enzyme would be the gastric enzyme, substrates would be the weak amylase, and the byproduct would be the action. Action is negligible. If I'm talking about the small intestine, the juice would be the pancreatic juice, the pancreatic amylase would be the enzyme, and substrates would be the polysaccharides, and end product would be the disaccharides, which is dextrin, maltose and maltose. If I'm talking about the succus entericus, then there would be a sucrase enzyme, the substrate would be sucrose, end product would be glucose and fructose. And if I'm talking about the enzyme, then maltase, substrate would be maltose and maltirose, and end product end product is glucose. In Succus centricus, if the enzyme is lactase, substrate would be the lactose and end product would be the glucose and galactose. And the enzyme in dextrinase, then substrate would be the dextrin, maltose and maltirose, and end product would be the glucose. And in small intestine, with Succus centricus, the enzyme would be the trehalase, substrate would be the trehalose, and end product would be the glucose. Now we'll talk about the absorption of the carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are absorbed from the small intestine mainly as monosaccharides like glucose, galactose and fructose. Absorption of glucose. Glucose is transported from the lumen of small intestine into the epithelial cells in the mucous membrane of the small intestine. By means of sodium contraport, energy for this is obtained by the binding process of sodium ion and the glucose molecule to carrier protein. From the epithelial cell, glucose is absorbed into the portal vein by the felicitated diffusion. However, sodium ion moves laterally into the intercellular space. From here, it is transported into the blood by active transport, utilizing the energy liberated by the breakdown of ATP. Absorption of galactose. Galactose is also absorbed from the small intestine in the same mechanism as that of glucose. And absorption of fructose. Fructose is absorbed into blood by the means of felicitated diffusion. Some molecules of fructose are converted into glucose, and glucose is absorbed as described, what we have talked about. Metabolism of the carbohydrates. Metabolism is the process in which food substances undergo chemical and energy transformation. After digestion and absorption, food substances must be utilized by the body. The utilization occurs mainly by the oxidative process in which the carbohydrates, proteins and lipids are burned slowly to release the energy. This process is known as the catabolism. Part of the released energy is utilized by the tissues for the physiological actions, and rest of the energy is stored as rich energy phosphate bond and in the form of proteins, carbohydrates and lipids in the tissues. This process is called the anabolism. Dietary fiber. Dietary fiber is a group of food particles which pass through stomach and small intestine without being digested and reach the large intestine unchanged. Other nutritive substances of food are digested and absorbed before reaching large intestine. Characteristic feature of dietary fiber is that it is not digestible by the digestive enzymes. So it escapes digestion in small intestine and passes to large intestine. It provides substrates for the microflora of large intestine and increases the bacterial mass. The anaerobic bacteria in turn degrade the fermentable components of the fiber. This is why the large intestine, some of the components of fibers are broken down and absorbed, and remaining components are excreted to the feces. Components of dietary fiber. Major components of dietary fibers are cellulose, hemicelluloses, glucanes, pectin, lignin and gums. Cellulose, hemicelluloses and pectin are particularly degradable, while other components are indigestible. Dietary fibers also contains minerals, antioxidants and other chemicals that are useful for health. Source of dietary fiber. Source of dietary fiber are fruits, vegetables, cereals, bread and wheat grain, particularly its outer layer. Health benefits of dietary fiber. By intake of high dietary fiber food, some diseases producing some substances may be decreased in quantity or completely excluded in diet. Dietary fiber helps in weight maintenance because it requires more chewing and promotes hunger satisfaction by delaying the emptying of stomach and by giving the person a sense of fullness of stomach. Diet with high fiber content tends to be low in energy, and it is also useful in reducing the body weight. Dietary fiber increases the formation of bulk and soft feces and aids the defecation. It contains some useful substances such as antioxidants. Some components of dietary fibers also reduce blood cholesterol level and thereby decrease the risk of some diseases such as coronary heart diseases and gallstones. Dietary fibers are also suggested to prevent or to treat some disorders such as constipation, bowel syndrome, diabetes, ulcer, and cancer. So this was all about the today's topic. Let me know if you are having any query. Thank you.